Your baby sister, the one you raised like your own daughter, sits across from you, demanding you sell your deceased mother's house to fund her $50,000 wedding. When you refuse, she tricks you into a fake birthday dinner with lawyers waiting to pressure you into signing everything away. But what she didn't know was that I had a secret recording device. What happened when I played that recording at her engagement party destroyed her perfect image forever. If you've ever been betrayed by a family who saw you as an ATM instead of a person, hit that subscribe button now. Like this video if you believe in standing up to manipulative relatives, and drop a comment about the worst family betrayal you've witnessed. This story proves that sometimes the people closest to you need the biggest reality check. Let's dive in. My name is Judith. I'm 38 years old, and I've been more of a mother to my little sister Emma than our actual mother ever was. Emma is 8 years younger than me, and from the time she could walk, I was the one taking care of her. When she scraped her knee, she came running to me. When she had nightmares, she crawled into my bed. When she needed someone to cheer her on at school plays, I was the one in the front row. I carried Emma on my shoulders at county fairs, bought her cotton candy when she dropped hers in the dirt, and stayed up all night when she had the flu. I taught her how to ride a bike, helped her with homework, and scared away the boys who weren't good enough for her. Being her big sister wasn't just a title, it was my whole identity. Our mother passed away 6 months ago after a long battle with cancer. Those final weeks were brutal. I was the one who took time off work to sit by her bedside, the one who made sure she had her medications, the one who held her hand when she was scared. Emma visited maybe 3 times during the entire 2 months Mom was in hospice care. She was always too busy, with work or her boyfriend or some social event. When Mom died, she left me her house. It wasn't a mansion or anything fancy, just a modest 3-bedroom home in a quiet neighborhood where I'd grown up. But it was Mom's way of making sure I'd be okay. Her way of saying thank you for all the years I'd taken care of everyone else while Emma lived her carefree life. The house still smelled like Mom's lavender perfume. Her coffee cup was still in the sink from her last morning at home. Her reading glasses were still on the nightstand next to a half-finished crossword puzzle. Walking through those rooms was like walking through my childhood, and I wasn't ready to let go of that connection. But Emma had other plans. 2 weeks after the funeral, Emma called and asked to meet for lunch. She showed up looking polished and perfect as always, with her fiancé Marcus by her side. Marcus was one of those guys who smiled too much and shook hands too hard, the kind of man who treated charm like a weapon. "Judith," Emma said, sliding into the booth across from me, "we need to talk about Mom's house." I already knew where this was going, but I let her speak. "Marcus and I are planning our wedding, and we've found the perfect venue. The whole thing is going to cost about $50,000. She said it like she was discussing the weather, casual and matter-of-fact. "That's a lot of money," I said carefully. Emma leaned forward, her voice taking on that sweet tone she'd used since childhood when she wanted something. "We need you to sell Mom's house and split the money with me. It's only fair, right? We're both her daughters." The words hit me like a slap. Fair? I'd been the one caring for everyone while Emma partied through college. I'd been the one working 2 jobs to help pay Mom's medical bills while Emma spent her money on designer clothes and weekend trips. I'd been the one sitting in hospital waiting rooms while Emma was posting vacation photos on social media. "Emma, I offered to give you $10,000 as a wedding gift," I said. "That's all I can do without selling the house." Marcus jumped in before Emma could respond. "10,000? That's nothing compared to what the house is worth. Come on, Judith, be reasonable here." The way he said my name, like I was being difficult, made my chest tighten. This wasn't about being reasonable. This was about 2 people who saw me as their personal bank account. Emma's sweet mask slipped for just a moment. "Some sister you are," she muttered. I didn't argue. I couldn't. Because sitting there, looking at my baby sister's face twisted with greed, I realized something heartbreaking. The little girl I'd raised, the one who used to fall asleep in my arms during thunderstorms, was gone. In her place was a woman who measured love by what I could give her. That night, I sat in Mom's living room, surrounded by 30 years of memories. The pencil marks on the doorframe where Mom had measured our heights every birthday were still there. Emma's marks, always a few inches below mine, written in Mom's careful handwriting. I remembered how Emma used to beg me to read her bedtime stories, how she'd giggle when I did different voices for all the characters. I found myself grieving 2 people, my mother and the sister I thought I knew. A week later, Emma called again. This time, her voice was different, softer, almost shy. "Judith, I'm sorry about how lunch went. I was stressed about wedding planning, you know how it is. How about we celebrate your birthday properly? I want to take you to dinner at that nice Italian place downtown, just family." I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that maybe she remembered what we used to mean to each other, that maybe she realized she'd been treating me like an ATM instead of a sister. My husband Jim came with me to dinner. Jim has always been good at reading people, and he'd been suspicious of Emma's sudden change of heart. "Something doesn't feel right about this," he'd said. "Emma doesn't do anything without an agenda." When we walked into the restaurant, I immediately noticed something odd. There were 3 men in expensive suits sitting at a table near ours. They had briefcases, but no food, and they kept glancing in our direction. My stomach started to twist. Emma was all smiles and small talk during appetizers, asking about my job and complimenting my dress. But I could feel the tension underneath, like waiting for a storm to hit. Then, just as our main courses arrived, Marcus pulled out a manila envelope and slid it across the table to me. "We had our lawyer draw up some paperwork," he said, his charming smile never wavering. "It's a trust document that would let us manage Mom's estate together. You know, make things easier for everyone." I opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a legal document that would essentially sign over Mom's house and all her assets to Emma and Marcus. The language was complicated, but the meaning was clear. They wanted everything. "This isn't what you said," I whispered. "You said this was a birthday dinner." "It is," Emma said, her voice getting sharper. "And this is your birthday present. The chance to do the right thing for your sister." That's when Jim quietly reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small digital recorder. He set it on the table between us, and the little red light started blinking. "What's that?" Marcus demanded. "Insurance," Jim said calmly. "Because what you're doing right now is called coercion, fraud. Elderly abuse? Well, not elderly, but you get the idea." The change in the room was immediate. Emma's face went pale. Marcus's jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscles working. The 3 lawyers at the nearby table suddenly found their phones very interesting and started packing up their briefcases. "You can't record us without permission," Emma hissed. "Actually," Jim said, "this is a one-party consent state, and Judith consented to recording this conversation to protect herself from exactly this kind of manipulation." I watched my baby sister's mask completely fall away. The sweet, apologetic Emma from the phone call was gone, replaced by someone I barely recognized. Someone who'd been willing to trick me, pressure me, and steal from me to get what she wanted. We left the restaurant without signing anything. The lawyers scattered like roaches when the lights came on, and I went home knowing that the sister I'd loved my whole life had tried to rob me blind. But that wasn't the end of it. 2 weeks later, Jim and I were driving past the community center when I saw cars lined up outside and string lights twinkling in the windows. Emma's engagement party. The one I hadn't been invited to. "Pull over," I told Jim. "Judith, what are you doing?" Something I should have done years ago. I walked into that party carrying the digital recorder in my purse. Emma was in the center of the room wearing a flowing white dress, laughing and accepting congratulations. Marcus was beside her, playing the perfect fiancé for their audience of friends and family members. The party was beautiful. Fairy lights hung from the ceiling, there were flowers everywhere, and a table full of expensive catering. It was exactly the kind of event Emma had always dreamed of. Elegant, Instagrammable, and funded by someone else's money. When the toasts began, people started clinking their glasses and sharing sweet stories about Emma and Marcus. Relatives talked about what a perfect couple they made. Friends gushed about their love story. That's when I stood up. "I wasn't planning to speak tonight," I said, my voice carrying across the suddenly quiet room. "But I can't stand here and watch this celebration, knowing what I know." Emma's smile froze on her face. Marcus went rigid beside her. 2 weeks ago," I continued, "I was invited to what I thought was a birthday dinner. Instead, I was ambushed by lawyers and pressured to sign away my mother's house. My baby sister tried to steal my inheritance to pay for this party." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone dropped a glass. Emma's face went from pale to red. I pulled out the recorder and pressed play. Emma's voice filled the room, sharp and demanding. "Just sign the papers, Judith. Split the money. It's only fair." Marcus's voice followed, cold and calculated. 10,000 is nothing. Don't be selfish." The recording played for what felt like forever but was probably only 30 seconds. When it stopped, the silence was deafening. I looked around the room at friends and family members who were suddenly seeing Emma and Marcus in a completely different light. The perfect couple image was cracking like cheap paint. "This ends tonight," I said, setting the recorder on the gift table. "No more using family as a weapon. No more pretending love is something you can buy or steal." Emma's eyes were darting around the room like a trapped animal. Marcus looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. I walked out of that party with my head held high. Behind me, I could hear the murmur of shocked conversations starting up, the sound of people questioning everything they thought they knew about the happy couple. The aftermath was swift and brutal. By the next morning, half of Emma's wedding guests had canceled. Marcus's parents, who had been planning to contribute to the wedding costs, pulled their financial support entirely. Several family members called me to apologize for believing Emma's version of events and to express their shock at what she'd tried to do. Emma called me crying 3 days later, begging me to fix this and tell everyone the recording was fake. But I was done being her cleanup crew. I was done sacrificing my peace of mind for someone who saw me as nothing more than a source of money. The wedding was postponed indefinitely. Emma and Marcus's relationship didn't survive the scandal. Turns out Marcus was only interested in Emma when she came with a substantial inheritance attached. As for me, I stayed at Mom's house. I turned her sewing room into a home office and her garden into a place where I can sit and remember the good times. The house still smells like lavender, and I still find her reading glasses in random places, but now it feels like home instead of a museum. Looking back, I realize I spent so many years trying to be the perfect big sister that I forgot to protect myself. Sometimes the people we love most are the ones who hurt us deepest, because they know exactly how to use our love against us. But there comes a point when you have to choose between being taken advantage of and standing up for yourself. If this story resonated with you, smash that like button and subscribe for more stories about people who finally stood up to toxic family members. Drop a comment and tell me, what's the most shocking thing a family member has ever tried to pull on you? And remember, just because someone is family doesn't mean they get to treat you like a doormat. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is set firm boundaries. Until next time, keep standing up for yourself.